it's Rhiannon from RMH Art. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video. I'm so excited about today's video because it is a Q&A and these questions have come from you guys over on Instagram. Thank you so much for giving me your questions. It honestly makes me so happy when I get a question from you guys. Makes my day, honestly. So yeah, today's video is going to be a speed painting of a piece that I did a few weeks ago called Afterglow. So let's jump in and answer your questions. So one of the questions was, how do I know when to start making art prints? And there's a few things that I want to talk about which I think are things that you need to think about before investing in getting art prints made or outsourced. So something to think about is the artwork that you have now that you're uploading, however you're putting your artwork out there. Is there much of a demand for it? Are you getting inquiries about your artwork? Are your pieces selling? Do you get many inquiries? And the reason I say this is because the last thing that you want to do is go and invest a lot of money in either a printer setup to print your own prints or in getting prints outsourced if there's not going to be much of a demand for those pieces, because you don't want to have them sitting there and not having that money that you've invested come back. If you're not getting much of a response to your artwork or the pieces that you're putting out there, like there could be a few things or a few reasons as to why that is. And you know, some of those reasons could be like maybe your audience isn't quite big enough, not that you need a huge audience to sell your artwork, you really do not. Maybe your artwork isn't quite ready yet to be, like it's not quite there. Maybe you need to keep honing your skills and, you know, making more art and getting better and just progressing yourself as an artist. And another thing, like, and I know this is probably like a random thing to say, but do people actually know that your artwork is for sale? Because honestly, like I've been selling my artwork for 3.5 years and I think it's really obvious, but I still sometimes get messages about just wondering if your pieces are for sale. Definitely make it known that your pieces are available for purchase if someone is interested. The second part of the question was, should I get prints made like outsourced or should I make prints myself? And so I'm going to talk about getting them outsourced first. Definitely do your research in where you're going to be getting your prints made. Like definitely look at reviews, obviously have a look at prices, what materials they're using, and see if it's going to suit you and your budget for where you are at as an artist, and make sure that it's going to be profitable for you to go and get them prints made. If you're going to be getting your prints outsourced, definitely take a look into your local printers and your printing places. There is quite a lot of places that you can get prints made at, but definitely do your research and definitely make sure that the quality and the price is going to suit where you're at as an artist. I myself personally, like I never got my fine art paper prints made outsourced. I've always made them myself, but I did, when I first got started selling my artwork, I did get canvas prints outsourced. And something that I also want to mention, if you're going to be getting prints outsourced, is to get a test print. Please get a test print. And the reason I say this is because when I first started selling my artwork about 3.5 years ago, I was so excited about getting prints made. I felt legit. I felt like I was moving up, and I got so excited that I didn't even think about getting a test print made. I paid $800 to get like a bunch of canvas prints made, and honestly, I picked them up and they were all way too dark. So it was pretty much $800 down the drain. I couldn't sell them, they were too dark. So I ended up using them in giveaways and just like freebies. But $800 when you're first getting started as an artist, like, is a big chunk of change. So definitely get a test print made if you're going to be getting your prints outsourced. Just a tip from me to you. Something to think about too is how much it's going to cost you to get each print made individually, whether or not you're getting like 10 made or 20 made or whatever, or 50 made, 100 made, doesn't matter. But look at how much it's going to cost for each print individually, and then also like, do you have to pick them up? Like, are they getting posted to you? Like taking postage into account as well. You want to know exactly how much it's costing you for each print, and then how much you're going to be selling the prints for, and obviously, like, you know, postage, packaging, and that. You definitely want to know that you're going to be making money on the prints that you're selling. And also, when you first get started, you know, you don't have to start with the most ridiculously high quality prints. Obviously, they do need to be good quality because people are going to be paying money for your prints. But you know, you might start off with like a slightly lower quality, obviously still sellable, and then slowly move up as the demand gets higher and as you have money to invest more in getting more prints made and higher quality prints made. And the second thing I want to talk about was, say if you want to go down the path of investing in your own printing setup, there are a few things to think about. Definitely, again, do your research with your printers. There are so many printers out there, and honestly, go on YouTube, check out reviews, read reviews. You definitely want to make sure that the money that you're investing is going to be getting you the printer that suits what you need and the prints that you're going to be making. If you're going to be investing in a printing setup, there is quite a lot of costs. It's not just the printer. So sometimes your printers can be like cheaper, but the ink can be quite expensive. So if you're going to be investing, you need a printer, obviously. You need ink, you'll need the paper that you're going to be printing on. You want to make sure that that's going to be suiting the prints that you're making. The backing boards, so when you send your prints that they don't get bent. You need plastic sleeves so they don't get damaged in the mail, so they don't get water damage, rigid envelopes to send them in, and then also if you're going to be having multiple sizes of different prints available in your shop, something to think about too is that you're going to need plastic sleeves that suit this size and that size, and different backing boards and different rigid envelopes. Like, it all does add up, and definitely look at how much it's going to cost you before you start investing, to make sure that you can afford to invest all that money. My first printer, amazing printer, yeah, was very expensive. But I will say that it has come back to me many times, the money that I invested. But I bought a couple of years ago the Epson Surecolor P600, and in Australia it costs like twice the price of whatever it is in the States for anything that is technology related. So it was like $1,200. The inks, to get a lot of ink over here, is like $350 for genuine inks, and then obviously all the backing boards and everything that I mentioned before. So for my first initial printer setup, like, it cost me like $2,000. And if you're getting started as an artist, like, that can be a huge chunk of change. I had a full-time job then, so I could use the money from my job to invest in that. Also, a random little side note to think about as well, and this is just simply because this is something that I've run into recently, which is why I now have 2 printers, is so my acrylic paintings and that I make, when I make them into prints, they are like a gloss satin finish. And then I've also recently started doing like inks and like sketches and that sort of thing, and making them available as prints. And so something to think about is, if you're going to be using a printer, say my Epson Surecolor P600, if I want to switch from the matte black to like this photo black, which is what is used for satin and glossy prints and that sort of thing, it wastes so much ink. So much ink. So, you know, it might, if you're going to be printing 2 different lots of prints, like, it might not be a fantastic idea at the start for you to invest in a printer setup unless you can afford to invest in 2 printers, which is now what I have, is 2 printers, one for printing matte prints and one for printing my satin or glossy prints. Another thing to think about if you're going to be, if you want to invest in your own printing setup, is how often are you going to be making prints? And the reason I say this is that I know that Epson printers, they don't like to be sitting there for a while and just be left not printing. Otherwise they start to get issues. The ink starts to clog up, the ink starts to dry, you get clogged heads in the printer, and honestly it can waste a lot of ink, waste a lot of time, and yeah, it's just a lot of waste. And so that's the last thing you want to be doing is like investing all that money in a printer, you know, making a lot of prints, and all of a sudden your printer's sitting there for 6 months, and then when you go and try and use your printer again, you got a lot of problems. Or even if it's sitting there for a few weeks, like I use my printers every week so that I don't run into this problem. Definitely do your research, and definitely take your time in deciding what's right for you, and making sure that that money that you are investing is going to be worth it. Another thing to think about when making your own prints is also time-wise. Like, if you are like me, when I first started selling prints, I was working a 52.5-hour work week, and also travel on top of that, and then trying to run my art business. And yeah, so time is of the essence. Like, if you have a really busy life, like maybe you don't have time to be making your own prints and packaging and cutting prints and all that jazz, like, definitely have a look into what's going to suit you and your current situation. And then the other question that I got asked over on Instagram was how to get high quality images of your pieces to make prints. This depends on the size of your original pieces. So like my smaller pieces, my ink pieces and that I've been doing recently, if you want to check some of that, I do have some Inktober videos which I'll link below. You can get them scanned. So you can scan them and then obviously edit them in Photoshop. But say for my larger paintings, which range anywhere from 24 by 36 inches all the way up to 40 by 60 inches, definitely not going to fit in a scanner. And so I need to take multiple photographs of these paintings to turn them into one big large image, and obviously you need a camera for that. as well. So if you make a lot of smaller pieces, definitely make sure, like if you're investing in a printer, make sure that you get a printer that has a good scanner. Or if you know, you're going to be getting your prints outsourced, just go get them scanned at like your local printers. Also, because I mentioned Photoshop, it also reminded me, if you're going to be wanting to make your own prints, you need a way of editing those images that you're taking. So whether or not you're going to be getting images scanned, or you're going to be photographing your work, you need a place to edit your images to make sure that they are print ready. And I use Photoshop. I love Photoshop. I will definitely say that if you don't know Photoshop, you can definitely go out and learn it on the internet. Anything that I've learned with art, including painting, has come from YouTube. So there's plenty of like resources out there to help you and get you started and make sure that you're on your way to making your own prints. If you have any tips of your own, leave them down below so that we can all help each other out. Definitely enough information to go around to help everyone. And yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I will leave above and below a video that I did, I think last week, on 5 tips to start selling your art as a beginner artist. But yeah, I really hope that you found this useful. If you have any more questions, please leave them down below. I really would love to help if I can. And I shall see you guys in the next video. Bye! Oh my god, my voice today is terrible. Because this is trouble. No! Okay.